We're actually going to discuss a question that not a lot of people actually think about, and that is how do we know when we're off our signal, and how do we know when we're not connected to that spark like we should be. So here's what off signal looks like. It's when you wake up and you may find something pulls your attention away. You might become distracted and disconnected, and something else may pull your attention. Maybe it's your job. Next thing you know, it's been months and you've been got completely off track from what you were trying to accomplish. And it's very easy to do in our in today's age with so many distractions, with social media, with obligations that we have with to friends and family, with the pressure of the economy and everything that's going on. I've been in a situation recently where uh, I've always been a creative, and I've always had creative projects that I put energy towards. It's always driven me to feel like I'm doing fulfilling a higher purpose. But recently, I let not only work situations, but also just frivolous things distract me from from staying focused on that purpose. And the result from that, it just started from it went from me just working a lot to being focusing on just working, just kind of in that survival mode mindset, and that led to me doing different things like eating or maybe smoking and drinking and things like that to kind of uh, compensate for this kind of emotional roller coaster that I was on, doing things that I necessarily ain't want to do. So, and that went from me just eating bad or eating this and that or neglecting myself and neglecting working out and things like that to me feeling less motivated. And so then that just made the situation worse to where I'm kicking the can down the road even more. So what we have to understand is that's the drift. It's no dramatic moment. It's basically a spiral that continues to feed itself. So I'm just gonna go down a few of the ways that we can kind of recognize when we're off signal. Uh, like I was saying, that the signal is that flame that's deep inside of us. It's that ember that burns. But when we get off signal, we get away from that, and so that causes us to drift. And out here it's cold, baby. There's no heat, there's no energy. What are some of the ways that we can recognize when we're off signal? Number the one, One of the number one ways we can recognize when we're off signal is when we start reacting. When we start reacting more than creating and focusing on uh, being creative and producing and helping and serving, when we start focusing more on the reactions that we get from others or others' opinions, whether it's friends, family, or just society in general, when we start reacting to things, it's a clear sign that we're starting to get off signal and getting away from our purpose. And so the best way to handle that is to really stay aware and analyze. Even though we live in a very reactionary world, the best way to prevent that from distracting us is to is to keep that awareness in mind and staying focused on there is a bigger picture. Another way that we're able to tell that we're off focus or off signal is your inner voice gets quieter. So inner voice, when your inner voice is quiet, that means that there's too much noise around you. That means that you're distracted. The signal is powerful. However, it's also honest. So until you build your signal to a level to where it can cut through more levels of noise. A lot of us are working with a weak signal in the beginning anyway. We're trying to rebuild that signal. Until you're able to build that up, you have to reduce the noise around you. And that's the only way you're going to be able to reignite and rehear that inner voice, because that's the signal speaking to you. So inner voice is the second one. Next, we call this the spiral. So the spiral is those small little compensating behaviors that we make to um, make up for basically the bad decisions that we've made already. So it's making the situation worse. Like I was saying in my story, how I was working so much to a point, and work was starting to make me feel depressed to where I started eating worse, and then that made me even less motivated and more tired and more sluggish, and so that just makes the situation worse. So when we start noticing those habits starting to form and kick back up, that's a clear sign that we're off signal. So that's the third one. So number four is going to be survival mode. Once we go into that spiral, you start to go into survival mode to where, and this is not the place you want to get stuck in, to where you're just thinking about tomorrow. You almost at the point to where you're ignoring long-term goals. You're ignoring the bigger picture because you're just trying to survive to the next day. And survival mode it never happens overnight, but it's a process, it's a history that leads up to being in that situation. So this is like when a warning sign should be going off. This is like emergency. This is emergency right there. The last sign is going to be when the spark dulls. So at this point, you're waking up without direction. That fearless focus that you had, that drive, that energy is gone. That means you're way off track. You need to. This is the time to stop what you're doing, and literally get back to stillness. Get back to um, stripping away all noise and distractions, and going back to that, getting back to a silent place to reconnect to that signal that's within you. So that's when we got to go back. You got to go dark. So the only way to get back to the spark after that drift, like I said, you got to get back to silence. You got to get back to quiet. You got to get rid of all the distractions. And why do you have to do that? It's because the only way back is through awareness. Awareness is the only way back here. Through awareness, we're able to reflect. We're able to see where we went wrong. We're able to start to notice where all the distractions are coming from. We're able to self-analyze. We're able to make adjustments. We're able to humble ourselves and make changes to move forward. But the only way we can do that is through awareness. That's why it's so important for us to have that awareness and to take it serious and to move forward and get everything that's owed to us, because it's really all or nothing. There's no half stepping, because anytime you half step, you leave opportunity for you to drift away from that signal, because something is going to come up to distract you. So you have to be going hard towards your signal, towards that purpose, towards that drive, towards take advantage of that pure energy within you, build it up, strengthen it, and allow it to build momentum to move forward. That's the difference between living a reactionary life and living a life on signal, full of purpose and full of drive and full of meaning and taking responsibility. So being off signal is reacting to everything else around you and becoming distracted. Being on signal is having that fearless focus, that all or nothing attitude and being connected to that divine spark, which is going to inspire us and get the best out of all of us.